Walk down any grocery aisle in Australia, grab a familiar blue or red box of pasta off the shelf and drop it into your basket. It feels like a harmless, everyday choice. But what if I told you that over 60% of commercial dried and fresh pasta products sitting on Australian supermarket shelves right now fail baseline structural and authenticity testing? Behind that slick packaging and images of rolling Italian hills lies a sobering reality. Independent laboratory data reveals synthetic processing aids, low-grade flour substitutes, and degraded gluten matrices hidden in plain sight. Every time you boil a batch that turns into a sticky, gummy mess, you are experiencing the structural collapse of over-processed industrial wheat. Which iconic local brands are cutting corners? Is your favorite pantry staple on the danger list? Let's find out. To understand how our dinner tables got to this point, we need to look past the marketing and examine the data. Recent 2025 and 2026 food science audits have torn open the packaging of the commercial pasta industry, revealing a stark divide between authentic slow-dried semolina and modern industrial flash-dried wheat slurry. For decades, food manufacturers have mastered the art of tricking our eyes and taste buds into believing low-grade industrial dough is artisan. They use high-speed machinery, artificial enhancements, and chemical shortcuts to turn cheap grain into profit. Today, we are walking through a comprehensive countdown of the worst offenders dominating Aussie pantries, moving from budget traps down to mid-tier illusions before finishing with the ultimate industry disappointments, and finally, pointing you toward the clean, trusted alternatives you should actually be buying. To understand why your pasta cooks unevenly mushy on the outside, while stubbornly hard in the center, we have to look at how it is made. Traditional pasta is a masterclass in simplicity, high-grade durum wheat semolina and water, extruded through bronze dyes and dried slowly over days at low temperatures. This preserves the natural proteins and builds a tight, resilient gluten matrix that holds its shape and cooks up al dente. Industrial mass production threw that entire rulebook out the window. To maximize throughput, commercial factories rely on high-temperature industrial drying processes. Blasting dough with extreme heat for just a few hours forces the water out rapidly, but it cooks the exterior proteins, destroying the natural nutrient profile and fracturing the internal gluten matrix. When you drop that industrial pasta into boiling water, those fractured proteins instantly give way, leaching massive amounts of starch into your pot and turning your cooking water milky and thick. To mask the dull, greyish colour of low-grade, mass-harvested wheat crops, which often carry trace residues of glyphosate and pesticide softeners used as crop desiccants, manufacturers frequently turn to artificial yellow colouring additives and emulsifiers. You are not just paying for flour and water, you are paying for an illusion engineered in a laboratory. This industrial shortcut philosophy is most evident when we examine the entry-level budget tier lining our supermarket shelves. Let us start our countdown with Brand 7, San Remo Quick Cook Spaghetti. Marketed for convenience, its compromised gluten structure is the direct result of ultra-rapid steaming shortcuts. Because the wheat has been pre-cooked and aggressively dried to speed up your stove time, it leaches excessive starch the moment it hits hot water, creating a gummy, glue-like texture that ruins any chance of a proper sauce emulsion. Dropping down to Brand 6, we find Barilla Spaghetti No. 5. Despite its massive global marketing footprint and Italian branding, local Australian batches tell a different story. Independent testing reveals heavy industrial blending, a noticeable inclusion of lower-grade soft wheat, and a weak protein binding capacity that fails under standard boiling conditions. It looks like the real deal, but structurally, it behaves like a cheap substitute. Then we hit Brand 5, Coles home brand fettuccine. Here, the compromise is bare for all to see. Laboratory breakdowns show a high concentration of broken grain fragments, excessive ash content, and chemical bleaching agents used specifically to mask grey, low-tier flour batches. When you buy a budget pack for pocket change, you are essentially paying for wheat floor sweepings held together by industrial starch. As we step up into the mid-tier options, the deception becomes more sophisticated. Manufacturers no longer rely on dirt-cheap pricing. Instead, they lean heavily on buzzwords, health marketing, and heritage branding. Take Brand 4, Veta Smart Protein Penne, heavily marketed as a fitness-friendly health food. Laboratory testing peels back the glossy packaging to reveal isolated pea protein isolates and synthetic binders added to artificially inflate the protein count, rather than relying on pure, natural grain nutrition. You think you are buying a wholesome, protein-rich meal, but your body is processing a manufactured composite. Next on the list is Brand 3, La Molizana Spaghetti. Here, imported name recognition hides inconsistent batch quality. While it wears its Italian heritage proudly, export batches show lower bronze die fidelity, meaning the surface lacks the rough, porous texture needed to grip sauce alongside oxidized flour storage that degrades flavor and nutritional value long before the box ever reaches your kitchen. Then we encounter Brand 2, Woolworths Macro Organic Rigatoni. The word organic acts like a shield for consumer trust, yet organic certification does not protect a product from inferior drying temperatures and subpar wheat elasticity. The result? A dense, unyielding tube that resists proper hydration, leading to poor mineral absorption and a heavy leaden feeling after a meal. That brings us to the #1 worst performing pasta product on the Australian market, Brand 1 Latina Fresh Refrigerated Fettuccine. This is the ultimate industry disappointment. Walk past the ambient pasta aisle and you will find refrigerated fresh pasta sitting in the dairy section, surrounded by an aura of wholesome home cooking. But cold chain testing reveals a shocking truth. Because fresh pasta contains moisture, it is a breeding ground for microbes. To extend shelf life in the supermarket fridge, manufacturers load these products with chemical preservatives, modified starch stabilizers, and heavy pH adjusters. In fact, independent laboratory audits show that commercial refrigerated fresh pasta is often chemically heavier and more processed than quality dried semolina. The discrepancy between its wholesome family marketing and its actual industrial ingredient list makes it the most deceptive option in the entire supermarket. You pay a premium price for convenience, only to receive a cocktail of stabilizers and modified starches. This brings us to a crucial financial realization. We have all walked past the luxury imported pasta boxes, scoffed at the price tag, and grabbed the $1 budget pack, feeling like savvy shoppers. But when you look at the math, cheap pasta is an economic illusion. Low-grade, highly processed pasta swells rapidly and disintegrates in water, losing a massive percentage of its dry weight to the pot. Because the gluten matrix is weak, it fails to deliver lasting satiety. You eat a massive bowl and 2 hours later your blood sugar crashes and you're hungry again, requiring larger portion sizes to achieve fullness. When you factor in nutritional density and cost per gram, high-protein authentic semolina actually keeps you full significantly longer, lowering your overall weekly grocery consumption. More importantly, when you factor in the long-term wellness costs of consuming degraded gluten matrices and chemical residues over decades, saving $1 on a box of pasta starts to look like a very expensive bargain. Fortunately, the entire aisle is not a compromise. When you know what to look for, you can bypass the marketing traps and find products that honor the craft of pasta making. Alternative 1 is Grand Italian Traditional Semolina. Independent testing reveals an exceptional protein-to-starch ratio, slow, low-temperature drying methods, and 100% authentic durum wheat integrity. It cooks true al dente, holds sauce brilliantly, and respects your health. Alternative 2 is the verified batches of decor imported spaghetti. True to traditional methods, it retains genuine bronze die extrusion, giving the strands that characteristic rough, chalky texture that emulsifies olive oil and starch into a restaurant-quality sauce, backed by rigorous gluten matrix stability. When you are scanning the shells yourself, keep it simple. Look at the nutritional panel on the back of the box and check the protein percentage. Aim for at least 12 grams of protein per 100 grams. Turn the box over and look at the strands through the plastic window. If they look shiny, smooth, and yellow, put them back. If they look matte, rough, pale, and chalky, you have found real semolina. We live in a food system designed for shelf life, profit margins, and shipping logistics, not human nutrition. But you don't have to play by their rules. Transforming your grocery shopping from a mindless weekly chore into a conscious act of food safety defense starts with looking past the glossy branding and reading the data. Your pantry is your sanctuary, and every box you choose is a direct vote for the kind of food industry you want to support. Check your cupboards tonight. Drop a comment below and let me know what brands you found hiding in your pantry and whether any of them made today's list.